So hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm James and today we're painting up the Xenodragon. As you can see, I've done the typical slap chop technique undercoat where I've painted it black, dry brush grey and then an additional dry brush of white. So we normally do box art colour with this and I think I've pretty much got there, although I did want to do a slightly more alien version from the films, although I've never seen the films, but we're all familiar with the icon of the alien. So straight away we're getting on here using a really big brush and we're just painting the whole thing with the silicanum grey. Just making sure that we get the whole thing coated. Could have gone with Black Legion if you wanted to, that probably would have been a little bit too dark in my opinion. But silicanum grey all over the model. So there's lots of nooks and crannies in this model, so make sure you're getting it in into all the little recesses, because this is going to be like our shade. From here we're going to stain it and just do a few dry brushes to bring some colours out. I tried to use as little paints as possible, and I think from memory we used 6 all in all. So hopefully it's a relatively easy paint scheme for everyone to use. You can use it obviously on your aliens as well, you don't have to use this just for the Xenodragon. If you want to paint your aliens from your board games and whatnot, then this method would absolutely work. In addition, I do normally put a fast forward on these, but for some reason I've forgotten to do it, so we're not watching it in real time because I don't film the whole thing. But yeah, so we're moving on to the second stage now, all covered in the Basilicanum Grey, and the next stage is Draconov Nightshade. And again, we're just going to coat the whole thing in Draconov Nightshade, just to give it that sort of blue undertone. I don't want it to be exactly black, but we've got this blue undertone that we'll build up on later on. Blacky blue colours always seem to work very well together, so this is an ideal way of taking it away from just being sort of blacky grey. Now we've got a blacky grey blue, which all work well. I'm not sure how well that actually picks up on camera, but it has got a blue gleam to it. I think you can tell better on the back of the wings anyway. Obviously just be careful not to let it pull up anywhere because we are putting it on quite thick. So yeah, just make sure that you're keeping the paint flowing. And always wait for it to fully dry before moving on to the next step, because with shades that can take a little while. I'm putting it on that, I don't know if you can see there, but I put it on that thick, it's actually dripping. Maybe a little too thick if it starts to drip off your model. Don't tell the missus I managed to get it up just in time. Yeah, this is me trying to collect as much of it as I can. You may be able to see the difference between the two wings at that point. Now, moving on, we're going to do another shade, and this time we're using Druchii Violet. So here we're kind of concentrating on the recesses, sort of. We're looking at the spines between the wings, darker areas of the model itself. So I did like the back of the legs and underneath the face, the neck, the underside of the neck, some of the stomach area as well. So we're just kind of looking for all the areas that are going to get not going to be exposed to that much light. And this will give it the sort of black, blue, purpley sort of grey colour that we're going for. I haven't diluted down any of the shades because they're not particularly effective on darker colours anyway. But yeah, I've just put them on straight from the pot onto the model at this stage. As you can see, kind of concentrating on in the recesses, both in the wings, the arms, again, like the back of the legs, the underside of the wing membrane, certainly down close to the body because that's quite a shaded area, so that was a good place to put some. And I think I run it down the underside of the tail as well. I'm not sure if you can actually see the actual effect, but it does add to it. There we go, working on the underside of the chest. So more looking at places that would be in shadow, and that's where we're particularly using this colour. So for those of you who've been counting, I said I used 6 paints. This will put us at the halfway stage. Once this is dry, we're then kind of just looking at some dry brushing to bring out some detail, put a little bit of colour back into it. And like I said, the next steps, you can do as many or as little of them as you want. I do, basically we're looking at three blues, just to sort of lift the colours, make the details sort of pop. That's why we're using the sort of dry brush technique, where it's going to just adhere to the highlights. But still carrying on here with the Druchii Nightshade. And yeah, here we go, moving on now to a dry brush. So the first dry brush we used is Macragge Blue, and I'm kind of doing this pretty much all over because this is going to be the darkest blue. So we're doing it just to pick out the wing membranes, bits of the body, and the face will be done with the dry brush as well. The Archon models are really highly detailed, so this method of dry brushing really works. Especially on that tail, there's that many ridges. To just pick all of those out by hand individually, just for the highlight, would just take so long. And there's no reason not to do a dry brush on this. If you're looking for tabletop ready, then that's absolutely more than adequate. If you're looking for a display model, then okay, might be worthwhile picking each one out individually, especially the ones that you want lighter than others. But yeah, there's a sort of effect that we're going to get the blue coming out now. And then moving on to Techlist Blue. And basically what we're doing here, we're just doing the sort of highlight areas. So we're only doing the sort of center ridges of the wings. So it's just the middle of the wings that we're kind of concentrating on. And anywhere that the sun's going to sort of hit from the top down. So we're leaving behind the Macragge blue, but we're also just pushing that blue another level. When you go side by side there, you can see the difference. And we're just working on the sort of top or items that are going to be hit by light, just to give it that highlight. And down the spine here, across its head and face. I do a little bit underneath because you want the colour to carry through, but you're mainly looking towards parts of the model that are going to get exposed to the light. If anything, I maybe went a little heavy with this colour, so you may want to tone it down slightly for your own model if you want. Overall, I was happy. Didn't have much of an issue with it. Just be careful with its little hands there. At some point during painting this model, I actually snapped one of the fingers off, which is now lost. I don't know where it's gone. I don't actually remember doing it, but at some point I did. So now I have to live with that. Okay, and then moving on to the last colour. The last colour we're using is Fenrisian Grey, and we are really just sort of concentrating on the detail now. You know, make sure that they're picking its teeth out with that colour. Want them to stand out a little more. Working on its face, a little bit on the wings and the spine there, and obviously details on the tail where they're gonna pick out. Did debate whether or not to use Slaanesh Grey for that element of purple, just to bring a little bit of purple back in. But I stuck with the Fenrisian Grey because it's got that sort of blue tone to it. But you could use Slaanesh Grey, bring a little bit of the purple out. You can see I'm just being very light here, just picking up the real edges, the tips, and not working too close into the middle of the model. Just trying to create a bit of a transition between the three different blues. They all work very well together. You've definitely got a dark, mid and a light. But at this stage it's pretty much done. All I did was with the base was do Basilicanum Grey with a grey dry brush just to bring that out, and I painted the eggs in shyish purple. But you can obviously do what you like with the base. If you've want to take more interest in it, then by all means. But I just did a very, very simple paint scheme on the base. I'm not sure what colour the alien map is, so I didn't know. And I didn't do any research into it, which I could have done and maybe should have done. You can see here I'm just kind of lightly doing the the detail on the tail. Oh, just for information as well, it doesn't balance very well on the base, so I've had to glue a 2p piece to it, just to give it a bit more weight. But it's easily rectified. It's not an end of the world sort of problem, but it's something that you may have to do. Probably because of the way I've glued it together, I may have not balanced it properly, but I did. I've had to glue a 2p piece to the base. And there we go, pretty much done at this point. We'll get it on its base and I'll do a glamour shot on the shelf. And there we go, side by side with the Bloodthirster I've just completed recently. Didn't do it on the channel, but it was just a pleasure project more than anything. But there she is. Pretty simple to do. Pretty much completed it in kind of one sitting. Nothing too taxing. Would like to have seen it in sort of different colours, but blue's blue. So there we go. Might do another one some point and do it in a different colour.